So everybody is really curious about this potential UFC White House fight night that's going to take place on America's 250th birthday. Now, more importantly, I think the storylines that are coming out on this is that people want to know who is going to be on this card. So there are some leaked, you know, fight card predictions in terms of who you're going to see on the card. Uh, I don't 100% know if I'm going to subscribe to everything that I'm reading, hearing, seeing, because I mean a lot of this is still being drummed up behind the scenes, and I can't see how Dana White's going to allow for anyone to leak the UFC Fight Night card at the White House. That said, some shocking news. There's been a lot of interest, apparently, from Islam Makhachev's camp about wanting to be on that fight card. Should they allow it? Should he be allowed to be able to fight in the octagon at the White House on UFC Fight Night? That'll be interesting. Islam Makhachev's coach just essentially dropped a bombshell on the world saying that they want to fight. They want to be on this card if they're allowed to. So if it happens, it's another fight. I mean, it could be probably up there as one of the most iconic UFC events ever. And I mean, assuming that Islam continues to dominate up until then. So I'm curious. I want to see if this is actually if there's gonna be some more buzz, some more hype about the potential of seeing Islam Makhachev on that card. But there's a lot more news to cover, especially when it surrounds Islam Makhachev. He also has a fight that's upcoming this week. So let's talk about this, guys. Welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Shiraz. And around here, we try to cover all the latest and trending stories from the world of MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing. So if you guys are new, and if you're not really familiar with the layout of this land, please make sure to smash the like and subscribe. Join us here on the squad because this story is about to get wild. Right, so here's what's going down. June 2026, those are the potential dates reportedly for the UFC to hold their special UFC fight night at the White House. It's going to be a mega event, a super event, and it's all taking place at America's 250th celebration, guys. Yes, America's 250th anniversary of the United States, and it just so happens to land, get this, guys, on Donald Trump's birthday. Yeah, President Trump is going to have the most unbelievable birthday celebration, and he's going to see all his favorite UFC fighters fight away in the octagon right there on the front lawn of the White House. It's going to be absolutely incredible, guys. So when they're talking about all these potential UFC matches that have been leaked already about what's going to happen at the UFC Fight Night at the White House, the reason I'm a little bit skeptic is because Dana White himself said that fight negotiations won't officially start until February of next year, right? But Islam Makhachev's coach, Javier Mendez, he's not waiting around. He's already trying to sell the possibility, or at least trying to market Islam to the best of his ability to try to get Islam on that card. Now he told, apparently he was reportedly on Submission Radio, and he says, "Look, we're gonna fight this fight at UFC 322, which is right around the corner, guys. And this is a big one. I want to talk a little bit about this, and then we're gonna fight in June at the White House." If they allow us to do so. So just think about that for a second, guys. Islam Makhachev potentially walking in to the White House lawn, gloves on, ready to scrap. I mean, that's something straight out of a movie, isn't it? It's absolutely incredible. Now, before we get into the UFC White House talk, let's not forget what's right in front of us. We've got UFC 322. What an unbelievable card, guys. Islam Makhachev is stepping up to welterweight to face Della Madellena. He's an unbelievably dangerous striker. And look, Madellena, he's one of those guys that you just don't play with, right? People know how dangerous of a striker he is. He's very unpredictable as well, too. Before we get into the White House talk, let's not forget about what's right in front of us. We're talking about UFC 322. This is a huge test, guys. And I mean, with Islam Makhachev stepping up to welterweight, to face Della Madellena, probably one of the most sophisticated and dangerous strikers in the UFC. He's not one to play. All right. I'm surprised I haven't really covered, Della Madellena before. We're still a new channel, guys, but there's a lot to cover on this guy. He's got such unbelievable technical capabilities. He's got a lot of tools under his belt, and he's very witty. He's got a really good octagon IQ. He understands the octagon like people understand like where to place their balls on a pool table. All right, he's all about the science. He's about strategy, and a lot of people are probably thinking this is going to be one of Islam Makhachev's biggest test yet. And you know what? I kind of agree. This is not just some walk in the park. I mean, is any UFC fight a walk in the park? This is not going to be just any run of the mill type fight. Okay, if you guys want to see fireworks, if you guys want to see rockets going off and like pure chaos, this is it, guys. You need to tune into this. You need to tune into UFC 322, and you need to get with the program because there's going to be a lot of storylines that are going to come out of this fight. All right, Della Madellena, he's probably one of the most. He's a dominant lightweight, right? But welterweight, different speed, different power, different, technical type of, it's everything is different. Everything is different. Anytime you're going from one weight division to another, it's not as easy as cutting weight or putting on weight, and that's it, and you're ready to fight. It's a different ball game altogether. Every division, when it comes to the speed of the strikes or the takedown defense or their takedowns, and all the things that they measure, all the analytics and key metrics that all the statisticians kind of go by. Everything's different. From weight class division to another weight class division, it's going to be different. So when a fighter decides to move to a different weight class, there's a whole different learning curve altogether, a whole different strategy and game plan that those fighters have to be able to understand. It's like the equivalent of a professional athlete, say like a football player, or I'm thinking about team sports here, right? Let's say you have one football player, he gets traded to another team, and it's about learning a whole new playbook altogether. And that playbook could be like this thick with all the different plays. I remember we used to know a couple guys who used to play on a professional football team here in our city. And I remember sitting down with them. They're at a table and they're reviewing notes. They had a book like this, which was all plays and on the other team. And they're reviewing it. They're studying that. And so, a lot of sports is not just how great of shape you're in, or your physical prowess and ability. That's a big part, obviously, but it's also the mental aptitude. It's your ability to be able to understand what you need to do in the ring. You're fighting another opponent. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to, prove your offense and know when to pull your defense. There's so many different things you need to understand when it comes to going into a fight. I have nothing but the utmost respect for fighters who want to move from one weight class division to another. It's not an easy task, but in this case, this is kind of what's going on. And right? And so look, what makes it absolutely even more crazier is former champ Michael Bisping said that if Islam wins this fight, he's actually entering the greatest of all time territory. He's entering GOAT status. Yeah, Michael Bisping actually said that. If he gets the job done, and he deserves to be in that conversation, if he defends that belt a couple of times, absolutely insane. These are Michael Bisping's words. So literally, he's one fight away from GOAT status. And look, I completely agree here with Michael Bisping on this one, right? I mean, if Islam becomes a 2-division champion and he defends both and he still looks dominant doing so, I mean, we're talking about legacy cemented. Bottom line, period. Game, set, match. That's it. So, okay, let's play the what if game for a second, right? We like to talk about what ifs all the time here on this channel. What if Islam Makhachev wins UFC 322 against Della Madellena? What happens then? What if Dana White then green lights Islam's path forward to the White House event? Like, I mean, just imagine that. Imagine the card, guys. Imagine Makhachev. Perhaps Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor. Guys, if you've been watching this channel, you know Conor McGregor, he's been training. He says he wants to get back into the octagon. And, I mean, can you imagine a possible fight between him and Michael Chandler? Or could it be somebody else? But just even having Conor McGregor on the card, Islam Makhachev, right? Jon Jones making a comeback. What about this, guys? What about Ronda Rousey stepping back into the octagon for one final fight? Ronda Rousey, guys. Guys, there are so many storylines about Ronda Rousey right now. And yeah, there's a lot of buzz about her. I mean, we'll have to get into that like another time. Obviously not now. But yeah, imagine just those names alone, guys. You know, I didn't even talk about Alex Pereira. I mean, there's so many other fighters, who want to be on this card. I mean, it's going to be absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Right? That's not just a fight card, guys. That's a super event. That's UFC history in the making. It doesn't matter if you have any other sports that are going on around that time. It doesn't, honestly. It doesn't matter if it's the NBA, MLB, NHL, tennis, pro tennis, football. It doesn't matter. Boxing. Nothing that you have at that time is going to be able to compete against the UFC fight night at the White House. Nothing. Everybody's going to be tuned into it. It's going to be on President Trump's birthday, America's 250th celebration. I mean, nobody's going to miss it. All kinds of media outlets all around the world are going to cover this event, from the BBC to MSNBC to CBS, you name it. I'm just talking about the domestic networks. What about Reuters, and what about all Sky Sports, and everybody all around the world is going to cover that event. It's going to make headlines like that's it. That's all you're going to hear about, see, read about. It's just going to be that, right? So like I said, this is UFC history in the making. And for Islam fighting at a location like the White House, I mean, that in itself is the ultimate symbol of how far the combat sports and MMA has come. From small gyms, in the dingy, dim lit kind of dungeons of Dagestan to literally the front lawn of perhaps one of the most iconic building in the world, the White House. Can you imagine that, guys? Can you imagine that? I mean, that's next level storytelling, like right there. So, I mean, I think this is exactly the kind of spectacle Dana White lives for. You know, the UFC has already done Fight Island, massive arenas, stadiums worldwide. Been there, done it, but fighting at the White House, that's next level shit, all right? That's the biggest like PR play in sports entertainment, in sports history, hands down. All right, I don't think anyone's going to argue with me on that. And for Islam, it's not just about fighting, guys. I mean, this we're talking about, it's not about paycheck anymore. It's not about the payday. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about the things that fighters want more than anything else. Once you've won titles, once you've got the championship rings, and you got all those accolades and achievements, I mean, there's only so much wall space that you can put all that stuff up. Then you're talking about fighting for your name, your recognition. You're talking about legacy, right? You want your name. These gladiators, the thing that the one of the most important things to a gladiator is having their name live on forever, right? So whether he wins or loses at UFC 322, even being in the running for that kind of stage show, and how massive his impact has become is absolutely incredible. But he does need to win at 322. It's very important for him, for his legacy, right? And I mean, Jack Della Madellena, I mean, he can't sleep on him. This guy's a serious competitor. It only gets tougher, guys. It only gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So he's kind of like your final boss, right? And Jack, look, he's the kind of guy that could turn your lights off like pretty quickly. So if Islam is dominant here, then GOAT conversations all around, guys. That's 100% valid. You can't argue that one. Okay, Islam Makhachev has officially shut. And look, unfortunately, a lot of people are not going to like this. They're not going to want to hear this. But Islam Makhachev has actually shut down any talk of moving up to middleweight. All right. And this is disappointing a lot of people because guess who's in the middleweight division and sitting nice and pretty? You got it, Khamzat Chimaev. And he's made a call out, obviously, to the likes of Islam Makhachev and a few others. And fans are really hoping for the opportunity of a massive super fight between Khamzat and Makhachev. But Makhachev right now has got his sights and he's got his focus right now on the welterweight title fight against Jack Della Madellena at UFC 322, right? So the former lightweight champion has already made it clear, guys, that competing at 185 pounds isn't really realistic for him right now. And speaking, he was speaking on the Weighing In podcast, and he admitted that middleweight shouldn't be too hard. But he's afraid of getting too big and too fat for that size, essentially ruling out a run at a third championship division potentially. I mean, guys like Islam Makhachev, you never know, right? I mean, if he can secure this win against Jack Della Madellena, become a 2-division champion, and then he's dominant there for a while, I could totally see him saying, you know what? What's the next level up? Let's go for another challenge. And let's bulk up a little bit and let's go for the middleweight division now. And just imagine if he does that, right? 3-time division champion. Wow. Now talk about legacy. That's the kind of thing that builds your legacy. Now, meanwhile, Khamzat Chimaev, right? I mean, what a spectacular win that he had against Duplessis, capturing the middleweight title. And, he also understands that if he can fight a guy like Makhachev, I mean, that honestly is what you would refer to as a pound for pound showdown as to who's the best of the best, right? And it's a lot of I still don't. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Never say never, right? But right now, I think Islam's is trying to be focused. He's got Khabib, in his corner as well too. Even Khabib is talking about how 170 is good right now, and there's just no interest. There's just no interest right now moving up another 15 pounds up from 170. And guys, moving up even a couple pounds is absolutely difficult and tough on the body. There is so much that a fighter needs to do to be able to cut and make weight. I talk about that all the time, right? So anyways, right now, I don't think Makhachev really wants that smoke right now. I think he's laser beam focused right now on the welterweight division and the title, and potentially looking to cement his legacy as a 2-division champion rather than chasing glory at this point. The glory will come. Right now, baby steps, right? So anyways, Islam Makhachev's coach, he says he's ready for the White House. His fighters ready for the White House. That all comes down to Dana White and what Dana White's thinking. At the end of the day, time will tell if he's going to be on that card. And if he wants to secure his spot on that card, he needs to show up this weekend, UFC 322. He needs to be dominant against Della Madellena, and he needs to defend. And he does, and I mean, even before he defends, as long as he's training and he stays in shape, I think there's a strong likelihood, strong possibility that Dana White might have him on the card. So anyways, guys, now I've done enough talking. I want to hear what you guys think. Should the UFC really host a fight at the White House? Is this necessary, or is this taking things too far? And what do you guys think about UFC 322? Of course, the main event, headlined by Islam Makhachev, taking on none other than Jack Della Madellena. What do you guys think? What are your predictions? What are your thoughts? And what would you like to see next? If Islam wins, what do you want to see Islam do? Do you want him to bulk up a little bit and go after Khamzat in the middleweight division? Or do you think he should focus on securing his legacy, building his legacy in the welterweight division, and getting ready for a potential UFC fight night? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. And we also have to talk about what if Jack wins, right? I mean, what's next for Jack? So anyways, guys, lots to talk about. We've got all weekend to talk about this stuff. The fight's coming up right around the corner. If you enjoyed this breakdown, and you're hyped about UFC 322, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and join us here on Duality 7X for more fight talk, breakdown, and reactions. Until next time, guys, stay sharp, stay real. I'll catch you guys on the next one.